back, everybody. My name's Tommy McCarthy, and this is Let's Talk Cyber. And today we've got a very interesting subject matter with somebody we all know exceptionally well, Mr. Sandip Patel, KC. He's a King's Counsellor, he's a barrister. We're going to talk about AI, the introduction to AI in the workplace. But first of all, I'd like to welcome Sandip. Sandip, welcome. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Tommy. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. Well, AI, Sandip, is certainly in the news today. Well, today, yesterday, and it's certainly rapidly reaching the entire workforce, obviously, with the introduction of new AI technologies. What I want to talk about today, Sandip, is the introduction of AI into the workplace. And I guess the first thing I want to ask you is, how should an organization approach the initial introduction of AI tools into the workplace? I mean, what would you suggest an organization should consider first and foremost?
Tommy, that's a great starting point. First of all, needs assessment. An organization should identify specific business needs and pain points that AI can address. For example, Ocado used AI to optimize its warehouse operations and improve order accuracy. Secondly, stakeholder engagement, and that starts with the staff, first and foremost. So involve key stakeholders from the beginning to secure buy-in and support. So by another example, McDonald's, stakeholders, employees were engaged early on to implement AI in drive-thrus, which improved massively customer service efficiency. And then next, pilot programs. I would recommend implement a small-scale pilot program to test the AI tools in a controlled environment, as Shell did when they use AI for predictive maintenance in oil rigs. Next, training and education. Develop comprehensive training programs tailored to different employee groups. Next, integration with existing systems. That's most important, Tommy. Ensure that AI tools integrate seamlessly with existing workflows and IT infrastructure. If you don't get that right, it won't work at all. And then, obviously, change management. It's really critical to communicate clearly about the changes, benefits, and expectations that AI will bring. Employees are hugely worried about losing their jobs. Reassure them. They're not going to lose their jobs. They're just going to be given another tool to make their jobs easier and better for them. And then finally, monitoring and evaluation. Continuously monitor the performance of AI tools. That's really crucial. And gather feedback for improvements. IBM uses regular monitoring to refine its Watson AI in various applications.
Well, Sandy, my goodness, that is a minefield and a half to consider, especially if I'm an organization that knows in order to compete and to maintain, development in our capabilities, that we have to consider the introduction of AI is going to happen. Just listening to some of the points that you've raised would put the fear in a lot of organizations and a lot of leaders. So I guess what we should be asking now, Sandip, is what are the common challenges that are encountered when introducing AI technologies, more so for employees, and how are they addressed? Because I guess the issue here is that you've just identified quite a few key relevant issues that need to be considered. So what are the challenges that are being encountered when you're introducing these AI technologies?
Employees are worried that they'll be replaced by AI. I had a conversation with someone this morning and I said, look, that's not going to happen. But you only achieve that by engaging employees early, listen to their concerns, and clearly communicate the benefits of AI. So Siemens used workshops and informational sessions to engage employees before they deployed AI. Then there's obviously the lack of technical expertise. And so provide targeted training and support. Starbucks brought in AI specialists to help integrate AI into their customer service and operations. And then there are also data privacy and security concerns, which organizations have, and they need to be addressed. So implement robust data governance policies and ensure compliance with relevant regulations to protect sensitive information. I work in the area of law, so I'm very conscious of the fact if I use ChatGPT, the data I input on ChatGPT I don't fall foul of my own professional regulations. Then there are integration issues. We've touched upon that. Work closely with IT to ensure that AI tools are compatible with existing systems and processes. Microsoft faced huge integration challenges, as you can imagine, but overcame them by closely collaborating with their IT department. And then this is really important. The final point I'll make, Tommy, if I may, is unrealistic expectations. Set realistic goals and manage expectations by clearly communicating what AI can and, most importantly, what it cannot do. So, no. So I'm just going to say that Netflix managed expectations about its recommendation engines capabilities, because we all watch Netflix, etc., to ensure users understood its limitations. And that's really important, because at the moment people think that AI is some sort of panacea. But you were just going to add, Tommy, what were you going to say?
Well, and apologies for interrupting, because this is the issue that I see a lot of organizations facing, is the anxiety that employees are going to have about the introduction to AI, because everyone has this perception that AI is this advanced technology. It's going to be delivered by robots and it's going to take over the workforce. It is a concern a lot of organizations have, especially their workforce. How would you ensure that employees, regardless, Sandy, of their technical background, are comfortable with and proficient with the use of these AI tools? How would you ensure, or what assurances would employers be looking to give staff to ensure that they are comfortable, irrespective of technical background?
Yeah, no,
that's the issue.
That's a great question again, Tommy, and that's what an issue which is at the forefront of organisations' minds. So, what I would suggest, based upon what I've read and my experience, tailored training programs. Start off with that. So offer hands-on workshops. So online courses, but also one-on-one sessions tailored to the needs of different employee groups. So AT&T, we all know AT&T is a massive organization, telecommunications organization. When it wanted to introduce AI, it provided comprehensive training programs to help employees adapt to AI tools. Secondly, I think is important, is mentorship and support. Establish mentorship programs that support teams to assist with issues. So a strong mentorship program can help employees understand and utilize AI tools. And I read a report recently that said, look, don't leave it to the don't leave it to the IT guys or the younger employees, because the older employees think, well, a younger person will obviously be familiar with AI, so we'll let the new person in the department let us teach us about ChatGPT or some other form of AI. It goes across the organization, and I think it has to come from the top down, from the C-suite.
I think you're absolutely right about one thing, Sandra, you touched on there, and that's training and it's mentoring. The thought of the speed in which we are evolving right now within the introduction of so many different new technologies, new different workflows, it's naive for any organization to think their staff can just immediately adopt this approach to integrating new technologies, especially around AI, and not give them any support when it comes to training. So for me, it's critical that training needs to be front and center whenever you're considering the introduction of any new technology or new process or new procedure. How do you then measure that, Sandy? How do you measure an organization, and how do you assess the impact of AI tools on workflows, and productivities that are being introduced? I mean, how would an organization assess the success rates that they're having in the, when you look at the implementation of these new AI technologies?
That's a tricky question. One of the things I go back to the previous one is gradual introduction. You've got to go at the pace of the organization, which they are not at the organization's pace they want to go. So there's a rush to AI at the moment. There's a danger in that you'll leave your employees behind, and that's fatal. That's fatal. So getting back to your how does one measure? Well, performance metrics. So an organization can define key performance indicators, KPIs, to measure the impact on productivity and workflows. So for what I recollect, General Electric uses KPIs to assess the impact of AI on manufacturing efficiency. I know a lot of other companies do. Employee feedback, really important. I think Toyota back in the 50s discovered the recipe to success was the suggestion box. Employee feedback, conduct regular surveys, interviews, and focus groups to gather feedback from employees about their experience with AI tools. So Google uses employee feedback to refine its AI tools used in the workplace. Workflow analysis. Analyze changes in workflows to identify areas of improvement and any bottlenecks introduced by AI tools. That's important, especially in the logistics area. So UPS, logistics operations, uses workflow analysis extensively. Productivity tools use that and software to track performance changes and gather data-driven insights, rather like Microsoft does in improving their software development processes. And then finally, the point I make, if I may, iterative improvements. What do I mean by that? Use the collected data that the organization has gathered to make necessary and reasonable adjustments and improvements to the AI tools and their integration into workflows. So those are the
I think it's fair to say, Sandy, that we can all agree on one thing, and that's that the advancement in the AI sector in relation to the introduction of new technologies that are using AI is on the growth is unbelievable. It's at such a rapid ascent that it's very hard for people to even keep up. You know, you look at, you've no sooner got the new Apple phone and then the next evolution comes out, you know, things are moving at such a rapid rate. But one of the things that's going to be the biggest challenge is the adoption of AI and technologies in the workforce. And so I guess in your experience, what are the key factors to determine the successful adoption of AI technologies in an organization? What would you say are the key factors that need to be determined?
Culture, Tommy, like in all organizations, foster a positive culture around AI. So again, instead of fearing it, organizations should be fostering the culture where they say, look, again, this is going to make your life better, your work life better, easier, and happier. So you can take out the drudgery sometimes of certain workflows. So how would I go about it if someone gave me a brief on that? Leadership support, I mentioned this. It comes from the top. Strong support and commitment from senior leadership are crucial. So leaders should champion the AI initiative and provide the necessary resources. So Satya Nadella's leadership at Microsoft, for example, has been pivotal in embracing AI across Microsoft. And we've seen what success that has been for Microsoft. Secondly, clear vision and strategy. Communicate a clear vision and strategy for AI adoption, including the benefits and long-term goals. Walmart, by way of example, used that strategy and discovered it was essential in successful AI implementation. Again, we've touched upon this, and it cannot be overstated, employee involvement. Involve employees at all levels in the AI implementation process. Just don't assume just because they are for example, a truck driver. Well, why would we want the truck driver to spend time training and teaching on AI? Often the truck driver is the most important employee in the organization. For example, in UPS, if the truck driver could be more efficient in deliveries, times, management, logistics, that will result in the overall success of UPS. If the parcels don't get delivered, UPS fails. So I would just use that as an example. Continuous improvement, the culture I mentioned, continuous improvement, feedback, encourage feedback. That will feed into enhancements and that will improve employee experiences and obviously performance. And I mentioned Toyota's approach to continuous improvement, or Kaizen, is applied to their AI initiatives as well. And then training and development, most important, an inclusive approach to AI. So I mentioned the truck driver analogy across the organization. And finally, I would say, create a supportive environment where employees feel comfortable experimenting with AI tools and are not afraid to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Everyone will make mistakes.
I guess, Sandy, one of the biggest issues here is, in any organization, as you've already identified, is the fear of the unknown. It's the introduction, it's the change. People don't like change, and it doesn't matter what industry you come from. If you're comfortable in your work environment and all of a sudden something radical gets introduced, there's the fear factor of the unknown. So I think it's going to take time for organizations to adopt the introduction of AI, probably a lot slower than the developments within AI. And from my point of view, only time will tell as to how successful the introduction of AI is going to be. I guess for those people listening, I would like you to consider giving us just one key takeaway for people to consider when they are looking at the introduction to AI as a business leader, but more importantly, as an employee being asked to utilize any concept of AI. What's the one key takeaway people should be considering just around this podcast up?
All right. Let me see if I can sum it up in a sentence or two, Tommy. Integrating AI into the workplace undoubtedly can bring significant benefits in terms of efficiency, productivity, and innovation. However, it's essential to approach this transition, which you've just spoken about, whether it takes longer or shorter. I think it's more rapid than ever before. This transition should be thoughtfully done and inclusively done. So again, I would focus upon comprehensive training, continuous improvement, strong leadership support, and then organizations can successfully navigate the challenges and reap the rewards of AI adoption. There can be no doubt those organizations which bring their employees, their staff together with AI will be those organizations which will be successful and will survive the AI revolution which we're going through now. Rather like the industrial revolution left behind lots of industries, the same will happen here. I don't know if that answers the question, but...
does that include the legal fraternity, Sandeep? Is the legal fraternity embracing the introduction to AI?
Absolutely, Tommy. I had a conversation with a very famous legal resources provider this morning, where I've subscribed to AI, a facility, and there's no doubt that lawyers will also find themselves, or the legal fraternity will find themselves also having to adapt and evolve. And I think that's it, adapt and evolve. Yeah. Because I don't think there'll be any sector which will be immune from AI. And that includes Hollywood, as we know.
Indeed. So, and I guess the final thing that we didn't touch on, and we do have just a minute or two to consider,
sure.
Whilst we are no longer members of the EU per se, there's the new EU AI Act, which is going to have an impact right across Europe and globally because of the regulation that it's going to bring to the table. Is that something that we should be aware of in the UK, even though it doesn't kind of touch our shores, the new EU AI Act?
Yeah, I mean, any organisation which does business with the European Union will have to know what the EU AI Act is and probably have to apply it or adopt it in some way. As everyone knows, the United Kingdom is not a party to the Act and it's taking its own course. The United Kingdom's course is less regulation rather than the EU AI. More regulation, and then America is somewhere in between. So it'll be interesting to see what the next government, what its approach to AI regulation will be. And it's a fascinating debate at the moment between the technology companies and whether there is a contest or between them and the regulators.
Indeed. Well, that's one to keep an eye on, Sandy. As
Yeah.
in most things, unfortunately, we run out of time, and we could speak about this, forevermore. And I'm sure we will have the opportunity. If you like what you've heard today, folks, please press that subscribe button. You can follow Sandip on social media, on LinkedIn especially. Reach out to him. If you reach out to him on social media, I'm sure he will respond. All that's left for me to say is, Sandip Patel, thank you so much for your time. I look forward to seeing you again soon on Let's Talk Cyber.
Thank you, Tommy. It's been a pleasure.